Arizona Defense Testing Range. Midday sun beats down on concrete and steel like a hammer on an anvil. Heat shimmers rise from the ground in waves, distorting the horizon into liquid mirages. 13 professional snipers stand in a line. All men, all decorated, all confident. One by one, they take position behind high-powered rifles. 13 shots echo across the desert, sharp cracks that split the air and fade into nothing. 13 misses. General Raymond Cross removes his sunglasses. His jaw is tight, the kind of tight that comes from watching excellence fail. His voice cuts through the heat, through the murmurs of disappointment rippling through the assembled soldiers. Any snipers left? Silence. Then a voice, female, calm, steady, cutting through the heat like a blade through silk. "May I try, sir?" Every head turns. Confusion ripples through the formation like wind through desert grass. A woman steps forward from the logistics tent. Simple uniform, no badges, no reputation, no tactical gear hanging from her vest. Just quiet confidence in her stride and something unreadable in her eyes. If you have ever been underestimated just because you did not look like them, you understand this moment. Real power does not need to shout. It does not need decoration or announcement. It simply is. The day began differently for Captain Sienna Blackwood. 5:30 in the morning. Dawn breaks over the Arizona base in shades of gold and amber. No alarm clock needed. Her body wakes itself after 15 years of military discipline. 32 years old, average height, dark blonde hair pulled back in a regulation bun so tight it could pass inspection from 100 yards. Nothing about her appearance stands out. That is exactly how she likes it. She brews black coffee in a scratched metal pot on a small electric burner. No sugar, no cream, just heat and caffeine. While it percolates, she drops to the cold barracks floor and counts out 50 push-ups. Perfect form, elbows tight to her ribs, full extension at the top. Then sit-ups, then stretches that pull at old scars nobody asks about anymore. Scars she stopped explaining years ago. From under her bunk, she retrieves a worn rifle case, the kind of case that has seen sand and mud and rain in a dozen different countries. Inside, an M2010 sniper rifle, decommissioned 6 years ago. The weapon is not registered to her anymore, has not been since 2019. Does not matter. Every morning she field strips it, removes the bolt carrier group, checks the firing pin, cleans every component with precision that borders on ritual, then reassembles it in 4 minutes flat. Her hands move without conscious thought. Muscle memory does not forget. Muscle memory does not care about time or distance or trauma. It simply executes. She drinks her coffee standing at the window, watching the sun paint the mountains in the distance with fire and gold. The rifle sits on her bed behind her, gleaming, silent, a ghost of what she used to be. By 0600, she is dressed and walking across the training grounds toward the logistics office, the place where she spends her days managing supply chains and ammunition inventories. Not glamorous, not combat, just necessary. The kind of work that keeps wars running, but never makes headlines. A group of soldiers jogs past, young men with fresh buzz cuts and loud laughs. The kind of laughter that comes from not having seen real combat yet. One of them whistles. "Hey, coffee lady, got any donuts today?" Another joins in. "Logistics queen." Sienna does not react, does not slow her pace, does not acknowledge them with so much as a glance. Just keeps walking, boots crunching on gravel, eyes forward. But anyone watching closely would see something. The way her eyes track movement like a predator tracking prey. She notices the slight limp in the third soldier's left leg. Old ankle injury, probably from jump training. The way the fourth favors his right shoulder. Rotator cuff issue. The wind speed from the flag's angle, 12 miles per hour, gusting to 15, northeast. Distance to the firing range from the echo of practice shots. 2,300 meters. She notices everything. At the ammunition depot, a new recruit drops a crate. Bullets scatter across the concrete. Mixed calibers, different weights. Chaos spreading across the floor like spilled water. Shit, the kid mutters, kneeling down fast. Sienna crouches beside him without a word, without hesitation. Her hands move through the scattered rounds like a card dealer sorting a deck. 30 seconds. That is all it takes. Each round placed precisely where it belongs, sorted by caliber, by weight, by manufacturer. 7.62 NATO separated from 5.56. Match grade separated from standard ball ammunition. Each category in perfect alignment. The recruit stares at her, his eyes wide. How did you... Physics, Sienna says simply. She stands, dusts off her hands, walks away. Sergeant Bryn Fletcher watches from the doorway. 35 years old, combat veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan. Sharp eyes that miss nothing. She narrows those eyes now, watching Sienna disappear around the corner. That was not random. That was not just someone who works with ammunition every day. That was training, deep training. The kind of training that gets into your bones and stays there. Fletcher makes a mental note but says nothing. Not yet. Later that morning, Sienna sits in a briefing room with 15 other officers. The air conditioning fights a losing battle against the Arizona heat. Major Reeves stands at the front, clicking through slides on a projector screen. His voice carries the practiced authority of someone who has given this same briefing a dozen times. The 4,000-meter challenge, he announces, experimental long-range protocol. We are selecting candidates for advanced training. Names appear on the screen, one after another. Elite snipers, competition shooters, combat veterans with confirmed kills at extreme distances, men whose reputations precede them like thunder before lightning. Captain Rodriguez, Lieutenant Kemp, Sergeant First Class Davidson. The list goes on. 13 names total. Sienna's name does not appear. Captain Blackwood, Reeves says without looking at her. His eyes stay fixed on the screen. This is combat personnel only. No logistics officers. She nods once, does not argue, does not protest, does not raise her hand or ask questions. But her hands, resting on the table in front of her, curl slightly, just for a second, just enough that the knuckles go white. Then they relax, back to neutral, back to invisible. After the meeting, she walks back to her barracks alone. The sun is high now, brutal and bright, white light that bleaches the color from everything it touches. She passes the firing range where the selected candidates are already practicing, setting up equipment, checking scopes, talking in low voices about windage and elevation and atmospheric pressure. She does not stop to watch. Back in her room, she opens her personal locker. Inside, beneath folded clothes and regulation gear, is a small wooden box. Plain wood, no decoration, no nameplate. She opens it carefully, the way you handle something precious, something fragile despite its weight. Inside, a faded photograph. 5 soldiers in desert camouflage. Younger Sienna in the center, actually smiling, a rare sight. Surrounded by her team. Below the photo, a silver bullet casing, engraved with coordinates and a date. Afghanistan, 2016. She closes the box gently, slides it back into darkness. Some ghosts are better left sleeping. Some memories serve no purpose in daylight. 2 days later, the entire base gathers at the long-range testing facility. Over 300 soldiers in formation, officers, enlisted, support personnel, even the mechanics and cooks have come to watch. This is history. This is the kind of thing people will talk about for years. General Raymond Cross stands before the crowd, 58 years old, silver hair cut military short, uniform crisp despite the heat that makes everyone else's wilted and damp. Behind him, a massive screen displays a target 4,000 meters away, nearly 2.5 miles. At that distance, the target looks like a postage stamp, a tiny square of white against the tan, desert floor. This is not about ego, Cross begins. His voice carries across the assembled troops without a microphone. The kind of voice that has given orders in combat, that has sent men into fire and brought them home again. This is about pushing human capability. The Ghost Protocol training program needs operators who can make impossible shots in impossible conditions. He gestures toward the range, toward that tiny distant target shimmering in heat waves. 4,000 meters, wind, heat distortion, bullet drop of over 800 feet. One shot, one chance. Whoever makes it earns their place. 13 elite snipers step forward, men with decorated records stitched across their chests in ribbons and medals. Tournament champions who have won competitions from Quantico to Camp Perry. Operators with triple-digit confirmed kills. Men who know the weight of a trigger and the mathematics of death. The crowd watches in respectful silence as the first shooter takes position. Captain Rodriguez, methodical, precise. He checks wind speed with a handheld device, calculates humidity, adjusts his scope with micro-precision that takes 3 full minutes. He breathes, settles. The rifle becomes part of him, or he becomes part of it. He fires. The shot cracks across the desert, sharp and clean. Then silence. 4 seconds of silence that stretches like taffy, like time itself has slowed to watch the bullet arc through atmosphere and gravity and chance. Then the spotter's voice, flat, professional. Miss, left 2 meters. Rodriguez stands, frustrated but controlled, the kind of control that comes from years of competition shooting. He clears his weapon, steps back from the line. The second sniper takes his place. Former Marine Scout sniper, reputation for cold-bore shots, confidence in his stride. He is faster, more aggressive in his setup. He fires within 90 seconds of taking position. Miss, right 3 meters. Third shooter, fourth, fifth. Each one brings different techniques, different equipment, different philosophies learned in different wars and different competitions. Each one applies science and skill and experience to the problem. Each one misses. The crowd's enthusiasm fades into tense silence, the kind of silence that feels heavier than noise. By the 6th miss, people start whispering. Maybe the conditions are impossible. Maybe heat distortion at this distance is just too severe. Maybe the target's sensors are malfunctioning. Maybe this whole thing is a setup to prove a point about limitations. 7th shooter, 8th, 9th. By the 10th miss, the whispers have stopped. Now there is only anticipation, hope draining away like water through cupped hands. 11th shooter, 12th. The 13th shooter is Captain Rodriguez again. He insisted on going last after watching 12 men fail. Learning from their mistakes, adjusting his calculations. He takes his time. 6 minutes of preparation, checking and rechecking. Mathematics written on a small notepad. Wind drift, barometric pressure, temperature gradients at different altitudes. He fires. 4 seconds. Miss. Right 1 meter. Rodriguez lowers his rifle with visible frustration etched across his face like scars. He has made shots at 3,200 meters before. In combat, under pressure. This should be possible. The physics work, the math is sound, but it is not happening. General Cross scans the assembled soldiers. His face is unreadable, a mask carved from stone in discipline. Anyone else? Nobody moves. The best snipers on the base just failed. Men with years of experience in medals and confirmed kills in actual combat. Who else would dare try? Who else would risk public humiliation after watching perfection fall short? Silence stretches. Hot and heavy, the sun beats down. Somewhere in the distance, a dust devil spins itself into existence and dies just as quickly. Then from the back of the crowd, a voice. May I try, sir? Heads turn. Confusion ripples through the formation, like wind through wheat. Sienna Blackwood steps forward, weaving through the crowd, Standard utility uniform, no spotter, no specialized equipment, no reputation preceding her. Just a woman walking toward the firing line with steady steps and calm eyes. Lieutenant Garrett Sullivan laughs. Actually laughs out loud. The sound is sharp and mean. You serious right now? Captain Rodriguez smirks, does not even try to hide it. She does not even have a combat qualification. Someone mutters from the crowd. Maybe she'll hit the sky. Laughter spreads like fire in dry grass. Not cruel exactly, but dismissive. The kind of laughter that comes from men who have just watched their best fail and cannot imagine someone without a reputation succeeding. Sienna keeps walking, eyes straight ahead. She has heard this before. In different deserts, different languages, same sentiment. She learned long ago that words are just air given temporary shape. They cannot stop bullets, cannot change physics, cannot alter the mathematics of trajectory and wind and gravity. General Cross studies her. Something flickers in his memory, something he cannot quite place. Her face is familiar, but from where? When? The harder he tries to remember, the more it slips away like smoke through fingers. Captain Blackwood, he says slowly. His voice cuts through the laughter, silences it instantly. You understand this is 4,000 meters, variable wind, thermal distortion affecting ballistics above 500 meters. Sienna stops 3 paces from him, comes to attention. Her voice is calm, level. The voice of someone who has already done the math and found the answer. Yes, sir, I understand. The crowd goes quiet, not the quiet of anticipation, the quiet of confusion, of trying to understand what is happening. Why a logistics officer with no combat record would step forward after watching 13 elite snipers fail. Cross holds her gaze for a long moment, searching for something in her eyes. Then he nods once, sharp and final. One shot, Captain. Make it count. Sienna approaches the firing line. The rifle waiting there is a Shytac intervention. Cutting-edge technology. Unfamiliar. Not her old M2010. Different weight distribution. Different trigger pull. Different scope clarity and eye relief. She picks it up, feels its weight, checks the action with practiced hands. Smooth, well-maintained. She tests the trigger pull. Clean break at 3 pounds. The scope is crystal clear. Loophole Mark IV. She can work with this. Around her, soldiers whisper and smirk. This should be entertaining. A logistics officer trying to outshoot elite snipers. Like watching someone who has never played piano sit down at Carnegie Hall. But Sienna does not hear them. She has already entered that space where noise becomes irrelevant, where everything except the target dissolves into static. She pulls a small leather notebook from her cargo pocket, opens it to a page filled with handwritten calculations, wind drift formulas, atmospheric pressure tables, Coriolis effect adjustments. Years of data compiled from dozens of missions in a dozen countries. Mathematics that saved lives. Mathematics written in her own hand because computers can fail, but knowledge endures. She glances at the wind flags positioned every 500 meters downrange, reads their angle and movement. Then at the heat shimmer dancing above the desert floor. Her eyes track invisible patterns in the air, seeing what others cannot see. Reading what others cannot read. She retrieves a single bullet from her pocket, custom weighted, perfectly balanced. She holds it up to the light, examines it, checking for imperfections that probably do not exist, but checking anyway. Because in her world, probably is not good enough. She loads it with practiced precision, seats it firmly, closes the bolt with a smooth motion that speaks of 10,000 repetitions. The crowd leans in despite themselves, despite the skepticism, despite the dismissiveness. There is something in her movements, something that suggests this is not her first time, not her 100th time, not even her 1,000th time. Sienna settles behind the rifle, adjusts the stock to her shoulder, checks the scope. The sun beats down, sweat forms on brows around her, but Sienna's breathing is steady, slow. Her heart rate drops, 59 beats per minute, closer to sleep than combat. The wind shifts slightly, a change so subtle that the flags barely register it, but Sienna registers it. Without using instruments, she adjusts her scope. Point 0.3 milliradians right, compensating for wind drift that has not happened yet, but will happen in the 3.8 seconds it takes for the bullet to reach the target. Her finger finds the trigger. Not pulling, not yet, just feeling. Learning its resistance, its personality. Every trigger is different. Every trigger has its own language. The world holds its breath. Silence. Not the silence of absence, the silence of anticipation. Heavy, electric, alive with waiting. 300 soldiers watching. 13 failed snipers watching. One general watching who cannot quite remember why this woman's face seems familiar. Sienna's world narrows to a single point 4,000 meters away. Everything else dissolves. The crowd, the whispers, the doubt, the heat, the weight of judgment. All of it falls away like autumn leaves. Only the target exists. Only the mathematics. Only the shot. Her breathing slows further. In, hold. Out, hold. She learned this rhythm in mountains where the air was thin and every breath mattered, where one shot meant the difference between mission success and body bags arriving at Dover Air Force Base with flags draped over them. Through her scope, heat waves dance like ghosts. The target wavers, distorted by temperature gradients and atmospheric interference. It is not where it appears to be. Physics lies at this distance. Light bends, air currents shift. The Earth itself rotates beneath the bullet's path. But Sienna knows how to read the lies. Wind speed 12 miles per hour, gusting to 15. Direction northeast with a slight shift coming. That means deflection to the right. But the gust will create vertical drift as well. Compensate left by 1.8 meters, down by 0.4. Temperature 96 degrees Fahrenheit. Air pressure 30.12 inches of mercury. Humidity 18%. She does not need instruments for this. Her body reads the environment the way others read books, through sensation, through experience, through years of making mistakes and learning from them in places where mistakes cost lives. Bullet drop at 4,000 meters, approximately 819 feet. Flight time 3.8 seconds at this velocity. Her mind runs calculations faster than most people can type them, faster than computers can process them, because her calculations include variables that computers cannot measure. The feel of wind on skin, the smell of heated air, the subtle pressure changes that instruments miss. Coriolis effect. The Earth's rotation will push the bullet right at this latitude, roughly 6 inches. Adjust left. Spin drift. The bullet's rifling will cause rightward drift, another 0.3 inches. Adjust again. All of this happens in her mind in less than 10 seconds. A symphony of mathematics and experience and instinct that cannot be taught, only earned, only learned through repetition and failure and success and blood. Her finger rests on the trigger, not pulling yet, just feeling. The rifle becomes an extension of her body, her intent, her will. She exhales halfway, holds. Her heart beats once, twice. On the third beat, in the space between breaths, in the space where body and weapon align perfectly, she fires. The shot cracks like thunder. The rifle kicks against her shoulder, a familiar violence, almost comforting in its predictability. The bullet leaves the barrel at 3,000 feet per second, spinning at 200,000 rotations per minute, a tiny missile carrying her intent across 2.5 miles of air. The crowd watches, frozen. The bullet climbs, then begins its long arc downward. Wind catches it, pushes it right, but Sienna's adjustments hold. Gravity pulls, but her calculations predicted this, accounted for it, compensated for it. Time stretches. 3.8 seconds feels like an eternity, like the space between lightning and thunder, like waiting for test results, like waiting for news from a war zone. Then, ting! The sound is distant but unmistakable. Metal on metal. The sound of a bullet finding its home. Through the spotting scope, the observer whispers, then louder. Impact! His voice rises, excitement breaking through professional composure. Impact! Dead center! The crowd erupts, shouts, applause, disbelief transforming into awe in real time. But Sienna does not react. She engages the safety, sets the rifle down carefully, removes her hearing protection with steady hands. Her expression is calm, unchanged, as if she just completed a routine task, as if hitting a target at 4,000 meters is no different than filing paperwork or inventorying ammunition. General Cross steps forward, staring at the screen displaying the target. The bullet hole is perfectly centered, dead center. Maybe the cleanest shot he has ever witnessed at this range. In 30 years of military service, in wars, in competitions, and training exercises, this is perfection. How? He says quietly, though his voice carries anyway. Command voices always carry. How did you make that correction? Sienna meets his eyes. No pride in her expression. No smugness. Just facts. Just mathematics. Physics, sir. Wind right to left, 14.3 miles per hour average with gusts. Temperature at 96 degrees creates mirage effect at 600 meters. Compensated left 1.8 meters, down 0.4. Standard ballistics. Lieutenant Sullivan's face is pale. Actually pale despite the sun, despite the heat. There is nothing standard about that shot. Sienna's expression does not change. It is just math and practice, sir. Where did you get that practice? Cross asks. The question everyone is thinking. The question that hangs in the air like smoke. Sienna hesitates, just for a moment, just long enough for the crowd to lean in, to sense that something important is about to be said. Then she says it, quietly, calmly, like reporting the weather. Afghanistan, sir, 2016, Operation Silent Guardian. Cross goes still, completely still. The way people go still when memory hits them like a physical force. I was your Overwatch, Sienna adds, even more quietly now. The general's eyes widen. Memory floods back, not slowly, all at once, like a dam breaking. Kandahar province, his team pinned down in a compound, taking fire from 3 positions, surrounded, outgunned. They were going to die there, every one of them. He had accepted it, made peace with it, started composing letters in his head to the families. Then enemy shooters started dropping. 1, 2, 3. Perfect headshots from a distance that should have been impossible. From a sniper they never saw, never heard, never knew existed until the shooting stopped and they were still breathing. Command told him later it was a ghost unit operator. Call sign Viper 1, classified, need to know. They never told him it was a woman, never showed him a face, just a designation on a report that saved 14 lives that day. You, Cross breathes, not a question, a recognition. You saved my entire team. Sienna nods once, the smallest acknowledgement, nothing more. The crowd has gone silent again, but this time it is different. This is not skepticism. This is not confusion. This is awe. This is respect forming in real time, crystallizing like ice on glass. Cross does something he rarely does, something that costs him nothing but means everything. He smiles, genuine, warm, respectful, the smile of a man who understands debt and honor and the weight of lives saved. He straightens, snaps a salute. Welcome back, Viper 1. Sienna returns the salute, crisp, precise, military perfect. Around them slowly, the other soldiers begin to applaud. First one, then another, then the entire formation, not mocking, not surprised, respectful. The sound echoes across the desert like thunder rolling through mountains, like recognition given voice. The sound carries across the range, past the targets, past the flags marking wind direction, past the mountains in the distance. A sound that says, "We see you now. We understand now. We were wrong." And Sienna Blackwood stands in the center of it, still calm, still quiet, still herself. Because real power does not need recognition to exist. It simply is. It simply waits. And when the moment comes, it delivers. Every single time. 3 days pass like smoke through fingers. The base feels different now. Not transformed, not revolutionized, just different in the small ways that matter. When Sienna walks across the compound toward the ammunition depot, soldiers nod. Some salute even though she is not their direct commander. The mockery has evaporated like morning dew under the Arizona sun, replaced by something quieter, something that looks like respect. She still manages ammunition supplies, still inventories equipment manifests, still processes requisition forms and tracks serial numbers. The work has not changed, but the way people look at her has. Lieutenant Garrett Sullivan approaches her at the depot on the third afternoon, hands behind his back, looking uncomfortable in a way that suggests this conversation has been rehearsed, practiced in front of a mirror maybe, or while running laps around the base perimeter. "Captain Blackwood," he says, formal, stiff. Sienna glances up from her inventory tablet, waits, does not make this easier for him. "I owe you an apology." She considers this, sets down her tablet, gives him her full attention because apologies deserve that much at least. For what? For doubting you, for laughing. The words come out clipped, like pulling teeth. It was unprofessional. Sienna nods once. Accepted. You did not know. Still, Sullivan shifts his weight. "You have been training for 10 years. I have been calculating for 15. Sullivan leans against the doorframe. Listening now. Really listening. "Every shot is just a math problem," Sienna continues. Her voice is matter-of-fact, teaching without condescension. Wind speed, bullet drop, air density, temperature, rotation of the earth. If you can solve the equation, you can make the shot. "But the instinct is not instinct," she cuts him off gently. "It is repetition. 10,000 hours of reading wind. Another 10,000 understanding bullet behavior. Practice until the calculations become automatic, until your body does the math before your brain can articulate it." Sullivan nods slowly, absorbing this, processing it. "There is no secret," Sienna says. She looks at him now, holds his gaze. "Just work. Most people want the result without the process. They want the shot without the hours, the reputation without the repetition. Does not work that way." His voice, most understanding passing across his face like clouds across the sun. "I understand, but that shot 3 days ago, that was not rust, that was precision, maintained precision. Muscle memory does not forget," Sienna says quietly, "no matter how much you want it to." "No," Cross agrees, "it does not." He opens the wooden box. Inside is a medal. Simple, unadorned, no ceremony attached, no official designation stamped into the medal, just weight and meaning. "This is not official," Cross says. Lifts or maybe 2 women, all under 30, all capable looking in that photogenic military way that suggests potential without guaranteeing performance. "We are rebuilding the Ghost unit," Cross says. "New parameters, new mission profiles, new operators. We need someone to train them, someone who understands that precision is not about firepower, it is about discipline." Sienna studies the faces, reads the brief biographical summaries attached to each photo. Thatcher Morrison, 24, talented but arrogant. Rowan Hayes, 26, former Army Ranger with something to prove. Callum Drake, 29, Ex-SEAL who thinks he has already learned everything. Iris Caldwell, 23, mathematical prodigy with zero combat experience. Finn Ashford, 27, methodical and skilled but hesitant when it matters. You want me to teach? She asks. I want you to lead. Cross leans forward, elbows on desk. The posture of someone about to say something important. Train them, shape them, make them understand what you understand, that the shot is secondary to the preparation, that killing is a last resort, not a first option, that precision is a form of compassion. Sienna closes the folder, studies Cross across the desk, looking for the angle, the catch, the hidden cost. But his face shows nothing except sincerity and the kind of hope that comes from desperation. When do I start? She asks. Cross smiles. Not broadly, just enough. Tomorrow. Transport leaves at 0600. Training facility is classified. You will have full autonomy once you arrive. Good. Sienna stands, salutes, turns toward the door. Captain Blackwood, Cross calls out. She stops, turns back. For what it is worth, I am sorry it took me this long to see you. Sienna's expression softens, just slightly, just enough to show the human underneath the operator. You see me now, sir. That is what matters. She leaves. The door closes behind her with a soft click. Cross watches the empty doorway for a long moment, then looks at the photo on his desk. His team in Afghanistan, 2016. All of them alive because of a ghost they never met until 3 days ago. He picks up his phone, makes a call, starts arranging the future. That evening, as the sun sets in shades of amber and blood, Sienna stands before the memorial wall at the base's eastern edge. Polished black granite reflects the dying light. Names carved into stone, soldiers who did not come home. Soldiers who became memories and statistics in lines in official reports. She stands alone. Her breath forms small clouds in the cooling air. Desert nights are cold in a way that surprises people who only know the daytime heat. Her fingers trace names she knows by heart. Names she sees when she closes her eyes. Names that have haunted her for 6 years. Sergeant Wyatt Brennan, Specialist Marin Whitlock, Corporal Hollis Grant, Lieutenant James Walsh, her ghost unit, her team, the ones who did not make it home from Kabul. 6 years ago, 2019. Time moves whether you want it to or not. The date is carved into her memory as deeply as these names are carved into stone. They were betrayed by faulty intelligence, walked into an ambush meant for double their numbers, 20 hostiles against 5 operators. The math was wrong before the shooting even started. Sienna was on overwatch, 1 mile away, higher elevation, clear line of sight, watching through her scope as her friends fought for their lives in a compound that became a coffin. She took out 12 hostiles that day, fired until her barrel glowed red, until her trigger finger bled from the repetition, until the rescue helicopters arrived with their rotor wash and their urgent voices and their body bags. But she could not save everyone. 4 names on this wall belong to her team, 4 ghosts that follow her everywhere she goes. She presses her forehead against the cool stone. The granite is smooth, polished, expensive, as if that matters, as if polish can replace presence. I am sorry, she whispers. The words are inadequate, have always been inadequate, will always be inadequate. I am so sorry. The wind picks up, carries desert dust and the scent of creosote. The American flag nearby snaps in the breeze, sharp cracks like distant gunfire, like memory given sound. Behind her, footsteps crunch on gravel. She does not turn, already knows who it is. Boot weight and gait pattern. General Cross. He has a distinctive walk. Left leg slightly shorter than right. Old injury from the first Gulf War that never quite healed correctly. He stands beside her, looking at the names, saying nothing. Sometimes silence is the only appropriate response. I read the full report, Cross says eventually. His voice is quiet, respectful. What happened that day? You held that position for 43 minutes, alone, against overwhelming odds. And 4 of them still died. 14 would have died without you. Cross lets that sit, lets the mathematics speak for themselves. 4 is a tragedy. 14 would have been a massacre. Sienna's jaw tightens. Math does not make it hurt less. No, Cross agrees quietly. It does not. They stand in silence. 2 soldiers who understand that victory and trauma are not mutually exclusive. That you can win and still lose. That survival is not the same as being unscathed. Why did you come back? Cross asks. Not accusatory, just curious. To this life. You could have stayed in logistics, safe, quiet, away from all of this. Sienna finally looks at him. Her eyes are dry, but the pain in them is visible if you know how to look. Because those 4 up there did not get a choice. They would want me to keep going, keep training the next generation. Make sure fewer names go on walls like this. Cross nods, understanding without needing further explanation. That is why I asked you to lead the program. I know. The ceremony is in an hour, he reminds her. Are you ready? I know that too. She takes a deep breath, steps back from the wall, straightens her uniform, wipes her eyes quickly with the back of her hand, a gesture so fast it could be mistaken for adjusting her collar. They would have been proud of that shot, Cross says. 3 days ago, 4,000 meters. Sienna allows herself the ghost of a smile, barely there. Brennan would have said I took too long calculating. Whitlock would have complained about the heat. Grant would have made a bet about the exact impact point. And Walsh? The smile fades. Walsh would have told me to stop living in the past. Good advice. He was full of good advice. Sienna touches the wall one last time, palm flat against the stone. Did not take enough of it himself. An hour later, the base's parade ground fills with soldiers in dress uniforms. The ceremony is small, deliberately so. No media, no civilians, just military personnel who understand what this moment means, who understand that some recognition comes late but still carries weight. General Cross stands at a podium. Sienna stands to his right, uncomfortable with the attention. She has spent 6 years trying to be invisible. This is the opposite of invisible. We do not acknowledge the work done in shadows, Cross begins. His voice carries across the assembled formation, strong and clear. We do not always honor the victories won in silence, but today we recognize Captain Sienna Blackwood, call sign Viper 1, for exceptional service to this nation. He turns to her, making this personal, making this count. Captain Blackwood embodies what we hope to see in every soldier: skill without ego, strength without arrogance, precision without cruelty. She has saved lives in ways most of us will never know, in places most of us will never go. And now she has agreed to train the next generation of ghost operators. Polite applause ripples through the formation, respectful, measured, military appropriate. Cross lowers his voice, speaking directly to Sienna now, even though the microphone carries his words to everyone. The shot you made last week, that was not just about hitting a target. It was about showing these soldiers that excellence does not announce itself. It just is. He steps back, salutes her formally. She returns the salute, then faces the assembled troops. I am not a hero, she says. Her voice is clear but not loud, certain but not arrogant. I am a soldier who learned to aim carefully. The real heroes are on that wall behind you. They are the ones who ran toward danger when everyone else ran away. I just made sure fewer of them had to. She pauses, lets that settle, then continues. If I can teach you anything, it is this. Precision is a form of compassion. Every bullet you do not waste is a life you might save, yours or someone else's. So when I train you, I will not teach you to be killers. I will teach you to be surgical, clean, efficient, respectful of the weight that comes with pulling a trigger. The crowd is silent, actually listening, not just hearing, but listening. We start tomorrow, Sienna continues. Be ready to work, be ready to fail, and be ready to become better than you think you can be. She steps back. The flag waves overhead, red and white and blue against an endless sky. The ceremony ends. No fanfare, no music, just acknowledgement given and received. That evening, after the ceremony ends and the soldiers disperse, Sienna returns to her barracks. She packs methodically. Everything she owns fits in 2 duffel bags and a rifle case. Traveling light is a habit from her ghost unit days. Never carry more than you can run with. Never own more than you can abandon. A knock on the door. General Cross enters holding a manila folder. Thicker than the one from earlier, more detailed. Your orders, he says, hands it to her. Officially, you are being reassigned to Special Operations Training Command. Unofficially, Ghost Unit, Sienna finishes. We are calling it something different now, Project Phantom. But yes, same concept, elite operators, impossible missions. Zero acknowledgement. She opens the folder. Inside are deployment schedules, training protocols, detailed psychological profiles of the 5 recruits. More information than the brief dossiers from earlier. These are comprehensive, complete, the kind of files that take weeks to compile. These are your students, Cross says, then corrects himself. Your team. You will train them, lead them, shape them into something this military has never seen before. Sienna studies the faces again. More details this time. Thatcher Morrison is Lieutenant James Walsh's son. That detail was absent from the earlier file. Or maybe she just missed it. Or maybe Cross held it back deliberately, testing her, seeing if she would accept anyway. Rowan Hayes has 3 combat deployments, 2 in Iraq, 1 in Afghanistan. Decorated but passed over for promotion twice. Chip on her shoulder the size of a mountain. Callum Drake graduated top of his SEAL class, then washed out of advanced training for insubordination. Talented but unable to follow orders he disagrees with. Iris Caldwell has an IQ of 153, MIT graduate, never fired a weapon in combat, panic disorder that she has managed to keep off her official record. Finn Ashford is a sniper with 14 confirmed kills, all at ranges under 1,000 meters, methodical, precise, but hesitates when seconds matter. They look confident, she says. They are, Cross replies. That is the problem. Confidence without competence gets people killed. And you think I can teach them? Cross meets her eyes, holds her gaze. I think you can show them what real competence looks like, what discipline looks like, what silent professionalism looks like. Sienna nods slowly, closes the folder. One condition. Name it. If I take this, I run it my way. No politics, no press, no glory. We succeed in shadows, or we do not succeed at all. Agreed. She stands, salutes. When do I leave? Transport leaves in 2 hours. Training facility is classified. You will have full autonomy once you arrive. Good. Cross extends his hand. She shakes it firmly. His grip is strong, despite his age. Thank you, Captain, for coming back, for trusting us again. Do not make me regret it. I will do my best. 2 hours later, a C-130 cargo plane sits on the runway, engines warming up, the distinctive whine of turboprops spinning into readiness. Sienna walks across the tarmac carrying her bags and rifle case. The sun is setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple and deep blue. The desert stretches endlessly in every direction, beautiful and hostile and indifferent. She climbs the loading ramp, finds a seat in the cargo bay, straps in. The plane's engines roar to life. The aircraft begins to taxi, slow at first, then faster. Then the ground falls away and they are airborne. From her pocket, Sienna removes a single bullet casing, the one engraved with coordinates from Afghanistan. 2016, the year everything changed. The year she became Viper 1. The year she learned that saving lives and taking lives are sometimes the same action viewed from different angles. She holds it up to the fading light, watches it gleam, silver and brass, memory made tangible. Then she tucks it back into her pocket, leans her head against the cold metal wall of the cargo bay, closes her eyes. The plane climbs higher, rising into the darkening sky, not because she wants to, but because those four names on that wall would want her to. Because Brennan would make a joke about her moping around. Because Whitlock would tell her to stop feeling sorry for herself. Because Grant would remind her that the mission always comes first. Because Walsh would say exactly what he always said. Stop living in the past. The future needs you more. The plane levels off. Cruising altitude. The cargo bay is cold and loud and uncomfortable. Exactly like every military transport she has ever flown in. Exactly like going home to a place you have never been. Sienna opens her eyes, looks at the manila folder in her lap, opens it one more time, studies the 5 faces, 5 futures, 5 responsibilities, 5 chances to get it right this time. She will not fail them, cannot fail them. The ghosts on the wall would never forgive her. And more importantly, she would never forgive herself. The C-130 disappears into the night sky, carrying its cargo of hope and memory and determination toward a classified facility in a classified location for a classified purpose. Ghosts do not die. They just wait for the right moment to return. The classified facility materializes from the desert like a mirage made solid. Concrete and steel rising from sand and rock. No signs, no markings, just coordinates on a map and a runway carved into hardpan. The C-130 touches down at dawn, the sun bleeding red across the eastern horizon like a wound opening in the sky. Sienna descends the ramp carrying her 2 duffel bags and rifle case. The air here tastes different, drier somehow, more isolated. The kind of place that exists in official reports, but not on public maps. The kind of place where mistakes can be buried along with the people who make them. A Jeep waits on the tarmac. No driver, just keys in the ignition and a handwritten note on the dashboard. Building 7, report 0800. She drives. The facility sprawls across the valley floor. Modern buildings mixed with older structures. Firing ranges extending into the distance. Obstacle courses that look designed to break bodies and spirits in equal measure. Everything is clean. Everything is maintained. Everything speaks of money and secrecy and purpose. Building 7 is new construction, glass and steel, climate controlled. Inside, 5 recruits wait in a briefing room, standing at attention when she enters. Their uniforms are crisp, their postures are correct. Their eyes hold the kind of confidence that comes from being selected, from being told they are special. Sienna sets down her gear, studies them for a long moment, reading posture and expression and the small tells that reveal character. Thatcher Morrison stands too rigid, overcompensating. Rowan Hayes has her weight forward on her toes, ready to prove something. Callum Drake slouches just slightly, testing boundaries already. Iris Caldwell's hands tremble, barely visible but there. Finn Ashford stands perfectly centered, balanced, waiting. I am Captain Blackwood, Sienna says. Her voice is flat, professional, no warmth, no welcome. I will not teach you to kill. I will teach you precision. Morrison smirks, just for a second, quick enough that he thinks she will not notice. We have all seen combat, ma'am. Sienna looks at him, really looks at him, sees his father in the line of his jaw, in the way he holds his shoulders. James Walsh stood exactly like that, right before he died in Kabul. You have seen chaos, she says. I will teach you surgery. She walks to the equipment locker, removes 5 rifles, Chi-Tak interventions, the same model she used 3 days ago in Arizona. She hands one to each recruit, watches how they receive them. Morrison takes his with practiced ease, Rowan checks the action immediately. Callum barely looks at it. Iris holds hers like it might explode. Finn accepts his with two hands and begins a methodical inspection. First test, Sienna says, 2,000 meters, one shot each. Show me what you know. The range is pristine, targets at precise intervals, wind flags every 500 meters, digital readouts for temperature and barometric pressure. Everything a sniper could want except experience. Morrison goes first, sets up quickly, too quickly, confident in his speed. He fires within 90 seconds. The spotter's voice is emotionless. Miss, 8 meters right. Morrison's face darkens. Wind shifted. Wind always shifts, Sienna says. That is why you calculate for it. Rowan takes position next. She is aggressive, jerks the trigger instead of squeezing. Miss, 5 meters left. Callum is casual, relies on SEAL training that taught him different lessons than the ones needed here. Miss, 6 meters high. Iris cannot fire. 30 seconds behind the rifle, and her breathing becomes rapid, shallow, panic rising visible and undeniable. She stands, steps away. I am sorry, I cannot. Finn is methodical, takes his time, calculates carefully, but takes too long. Time out before he can fire. Sienna watches all of this without expression, without comment. When they are finished, she says only one thing. Again. Ma'am? Morrison questions. Again, all of you, until physics makes sense. They repeat the drill, and again, and again. By the fifth iteration, Morrison is frustrated. Rowan is angry. Callum is bored. Iris is crying. Finn is exhausted. None of them has hit the target. Sienna takes position behind a rifle, does not announce what she is doing, just settles into position and becomes still. 10 seconds of calculation. Then she fires. The spotter's voice carries across the range. Impact! Dead center! She stands, ejects the spent casing, hands the rifle to Morrison. Your turn. Keep going until you understand. The first week is brutal. 4 in the morning runs wearing full gear, 30 pounds of equipment on their backs, through sand and heat and exhaustion. Breath control exercises that leave them gasping. 2 minutes underwater in a training pool, learning to slow their heart rates, to find calm in oxygen debt. Wind reading drills. Stand in the open for an hour. Estimate wind speed within 0.5 miles per hour using only sensation. No instruments, no devices, just skin and experience in paying attention. Isometric holds. Rifles extended for 20 minutes. Arms shaking, muscles screaming. Learning that stability comes from suffering through instability. Sienna does not yell, does not encourage, does not coddle. She demonstrates, she corrects, she repeats. Her teaching style is surgical. Remove error, insert precision, move forward. On the 8th day, she takes them to the 3,000-meter range, sets up behind a rifle herself, talks while she works. Wind northeast 14 miles per hour, temperature 89 degrees, pressure 30.08. Coriolis effect at this range is 5 inches right, spin drift is 0.2 inches. Compensate left total of 5.2 inches. Elevation up 712 feet. Fire. The bullet impacts dead center. She stands, looks at them. Your turn. By the end of week 2, Morrison begins to understand that speed without accuracy is just noise. Rowan learns that aggression without control is wasted energy. Callum discovers that his SEAL training is foundation, not ceiling. Iris finds that numbers can be trusted when people cannot. Finn realizes that perfection delayed is opportunity lost. Week 3 brings breakthroughs. Finn makes the first successful 2,500-meter shot. The impact is clean, centered. He steps back from the rifle looking surprised, as if he did not expect his own success. Sienna nods once. Again, Iris overcomes her panic through mathematics. She closes her eyes, runs calculations in her head, speaks them aloud like a prayer. Wind, temperature, pressure, drift, drop. When she opens her eyes and fires, the bullet finds its mark. She does not celebrate, just breathes, relief washing over her face like rain. Rowan stops trying to prove herself and starts trying to improve herself. The shift is subtle but significant. Her shots tighten, her groups shrink, her breathing steadies. Callum asks for help, actually asks. The words cost him something, pride maybe, or certainty, but he says them anyway. Finn teaches him patience. The two men work together, spotter and shooter, building trust through repetition. Morrison improves steadily but remains resistant. He shoots well, better than well. But there is something in his posture, something in his eyes, a question he has not asked yet. In the evenings, Sienna cleans weapons in the armory. The recruits find reasons to be there, to ask questions, to listen. She tells them stories about the Ghost Unit, carefully edited, sanitized. Brennan's dark humor that kept them sane in impossible situations. Whitlock's sharp intelligence that saw 3 moves ahead. Grant's reckless bravery that bordered on stupidity, but somehow always worked. Walsh's wisdom that came from surviving when survival was unlikely. She does not tell them about Kabul, not yet. Some stories need the right moment, the right audience, the right reason. Week 4 arrives with desert storms, wind gusting to 40 miles per hour, sand reducing visibility to 200 meters. Sienna gathers them in the briefing room. Real operations do not wait for perfect conditions, she says. Today you train in chaos. The storm howls outside. Visibility is terrible. Wind is unpredictable. She sends them to the range anyway. 3,000-meter shots in conditions that make accuracy nearly impossible. They struggle, all of them. Even Finn cannot compensate for wind that changes direction every 30 seconds. Morrison fires 4 times, 4 misses. Rowan's shots are scattered across a 10-meter radius. Callum gives up after 2 attempts. Iris refuses to fire at all. Finn makes 1 shot that comes close, 3 meters right. In these conditions, that is almost success. Sienna watches, says nothing, lets them fail. Failure is part of learning, maybe the most important part. That night, late, Morrison finds her in the armory. She is cleaning her rifle, the decommissioned M2010 that she still maintains every morning, the ritual that keeps her connected to who she used to be. "Captain," he says, "can I ask something?" Sienna does not look up from her work. "Go ahead." "The 4 names you mentioned, Brennan, Whitlock, Grant, Walsh." He pauses. "How did they die?" She stops cleaning, sets down the brush she is using, looks at him directly, sees his father so clearly in his face that it hurts. Like looking at a ghost, like memory made flesh. "Why do you want to know?" "Walsh was my father." Sienna nods slowly. She already knew this. The file told her, but hearing him say it is different. "I know." "You knew him?" "He was my team leader." Morrison pulls up a chair, sits without asking permission. "Tell me what happened." Sienna is quiet for a long moment, deciding. Then she begins. "Kabul, 2019. We had intelligence about a high-value target. Taliban commander responsible for 3 attacks on coalition forces. The intel said he was in a compound with minimal security, 5 guards, easy extraction." She pauses, remembers. The intel was wrong. Morrison leans forward, listening with his whole body. "We walked into an ambush, 20 hostiles, maybe more. They were waiting for us. Someone sold us out. Someone wanted us dead." Sienna's voice is flat, reciting facts, keeping emotion at distance. "I was on overwatch, 1 mile away, higher elevation, clear line of sight. I watched through my scope as they pinned down my team. And I took out 12 hostiles, fired until my barrel glowed red. until my trigger finger bled from the repetition, until the rescue helicopters arrived. She looks at Morrison, meets his eyes. But I could not save everyone. Your father, Brennan, Whitlock, Grant. 4 good soldiers, 4 good people, dead because someone lied, because intel failed, because I was not good enough or fast enough or something enough. That is why you left combat, Morrison says quietly. That is why I came back. Sienna picks up her cleaning brush again, returns to the rifle. To make sure it does not happen again. To train people who will not walk into ambushes, who will not trust bad intel, who will come home. Morrison is quiet for a long time, processing. Finally, he says, "We will not let you down, ma'am. I know, that is why I am here." He stands, starts to leave, then turns back. My father, what was he like? Sienna allows herself a small smile, rare as rain in this desert. He would have told me to stop living in the past. He was full of good advice, did not take enough of it himself. Morrison nods, understanding something he did not understand before. Thank you, Captain. After he leaves, Sienna sits alone in the armory, surrounded by weapons and memories. The rifle in her hands is clean, has been clean for the last 20 minutes. But she keeps working anyway, keeps moving her hands, keeps busy, because stillness lets the ghosts in. Day 30 arrives like judgment. Pentagon observers fly in on an unmarked helicopter. General Cross accompanies them. The entire base gathers to watch. Word has spread about Project Phantom, about the ghost sniper training recruits in impossible shots. People want to see if the legend is real. The test is simple. Each recruit makes one 4,000-meter shot, the same distance Sienna made in Arizona, the same distance that 13 elite snipers failed. Success means the program continues. Failure means it dies. Recruits get reassigned. Phantom becomes a footnote in classified reports. The crowd watches in silence as the recruits prepare. 5 rifles, 5 bullets, 5 chances. Iris goes first. Sienna insisted on this. Put the most anxious shooter in the most pressure-filled position. Sink or swim. Adapt or break. Iris takes position behind the rifle. Her hands shake, visible tremors running through her fingers. The crowd murmurs. This does not look promising. Sienna kneels beside her, speaks quietly. Only Iris can hear. The numbers do not lie. Trust them. Wind is 13.2 miles per hour. Temperature is 92 degrees. You know the math. The math does not care about fear. It just is. Calculate and fire. Iris closes her eyes, breathes, runs the calculations in her head, lips moving silently, numbers flowing through her mind like water through channels. When she opens her eyes, they are clear, focused. She adjusts her scope, settles her breathing, fires. 4 seconds of silence. Impact, 12 centimeters from center. The crowd gasps, then applauds. Iris stands on shaking legs, steps away from the rifle. Sienna nods once, approval given without words. Finn is next. Methodical as always, he takes his time, calculates carefully, checks and rechecks, but does not take too long. He has learned the balance. Speed and accuracy are not enemies. They are partners. He fires. Impact, 8 centimeters from center. More applause. Louder now. Belief growing in the crowd. Maybe this is real. Maybe Phantom is not just theory. Rowan approaches the rifle with calm confidence. Not the aggressive need to prove herself energy from week 1. Just steady competence. She has learned that skill speaks louder than bravado. She settles, calculates, fires. Impact, 10 centimeters from center. The crowd is enthusiastic now. 3 for 3. This is unprecedented. Even the Pentagon observers are leaning forward, taking notes, whispering to each other. Callum steps up, the former SEAL who thought he knew everything, who has spent 4 weeks learning humility. He looks at Finn. Spot for me? Finn nods, steps beside him. They work together, Callum on the rifle, Finn reading wind and calling adjustments. Teamwork replacing ego. Callum fires. Impact 9 centimeters from center. 4 for 4. The crowd is standing now. This is history. This is watching the impossible become routine. Morrison is last, heaviest pressure. Son of a fallen ghost unit operator, carrying his father's legacy and his own demons. He takes position. Sienna watches from 20 feet away, sees James Walsh in every movement. The way he adjusts his stock, the way he settles his breathing, genetic memory expressing itself through learned behavior. Morrison closes his eyes briefly, opens them, looks through the scope at a target 2.5 miles away, calculates, compensates, trusts his training, fires. 4 seconds that last forever. Impact, dead center, perfect shot. The crowd erupts, cheering, applauding. Pentagon observers are nodding, making check marks on clipboards. General Cross is smiling, actually smiling. A rare sight that transforms his face from stone to something human. Morrison stands, turns, finds Sienna in the crowd, salutes her. She returns it. Respect given, respect received. Bond formed through shared history and shared purpose. The program is approved. Officially, permanently, Phantom is real. But the day is not over. A Pentagon general approaches Sienna, 3 stars on his shoulder, face carved from granite in career ambition. Impressive, Captain. Your students performed admirably, but we need to see if you can still perform. Sienna looks at him, waits. Another 4,000-meter shot, in front of your students. Prove this was not luck. Prove Viper 1 still exists. The crowd goes quiet. This was not part of the plan. This is a test within a test. Proof demanded beyond what has already been given. Sienna walks to the firing line, the same position where she stood in Arizona 3 weeks ago. But everything is different now. Then she was alone, underestimated, fighting for recognition. Now she is a teacher, a leader, responsible for 5 people who look at her with belief in their eyes. She takes position behind the rifle. The 5 recruits stand behind her. Morrison, Rowan, Callum, Iris, Finn, her team, her responsibility, her legacy. The weight is different this time. She settles, begins her calculations. Wind, 13 miles per hour. Temperature, 94 degrees. Pressure, 30.10. All the numbers are there. All the variables are known. Her hands are steady. Her breathing is controlled. But her mind is in Kabul, watching through a scope as Brennan takes a round to the chest, as Whitlock tries to drag him to cover, as Grant provides suppressing fire with ammunition running low, as Walsh coordinates evacuation that will arrive too late. Her finger freezes on the trigger. The barrel in her scope glows red from overheating. Her trigger finger bleeds. Radio voices screaming for help that is too far away. Mathematics cannot save them. Precision cannot save them. She fires and fires and fires, but 4 people still die. She blinks, returns to the present. The rifle in front of her is cold. Her finger is not bleeding. The radio is silent, but the ghosts are here, standing in the crowd. Brennan, Whitlock, Grant, Walsh. She can see them as clearly as the living. Walsh's voice cuts through memory, as clear as if he were standing beside her. Stop living in the past. The future needs you more. She looks at the 5 recruits behind her, at Morrison, who carries his father's face, at Iris, who overcame panic through trust, at Finn, who found balance, at Rowan, who learned humility, at Callum, who discovered teamwork. 5 futures standing where 4 ghosts fell. She is not alone anymore, not carrying the weight by herself, not responsible for everything. She has a team now, people who trust her, people she can trust. The realization settles over her like calm. She returns to her scope, to her calculations. Wind, temperature, pressure, Coriolis, drift, drop, all the variables that can be known, all the mathematics that govern ballistics and fate. She runs the numbers in 12 seconds, faster than thought, automatic as breathing. Her finger finds the trigger. Between heartbeats, in the space where body and weapon align, she fires. The shot cracks across the desert. The bullet climbs, arcs, falls. 3.8 seconds of flight through air and time and redemption. Impact, dead center. The crowd explodes, cheering, shouting. Pentagon observers are standing. General Cross is nodding with satisfaction that looks like pride. The 5 recruits are grinning, actually grinning, joy unrestrained. But Sienna just engages the safety, sets down the rifle, stands. Her expression is calm. The same expression she wore in Arizona. The same expression she has worn for 6 years. But something behind her eyes is different now. Something has shifted. Some weight has been lifted or redistributed or accepted. The Pentagon general approaches, extends his hand. Welcome back, Viper 1. The program is permanent, funding approved, full operational status. Sienna shakes his hand. Thank you, sir. That evening, as the sun sets in fire and gold, Sienna returns to the memorial wall. It exists here too. Every military facility has one. Names carved in stone, memories preserved in granite. She brings the 5 recruits with her. They stand before the wall in silence, reading names, understanding that every name represents a story, a life, a person who mattered to someone. Sienna traces the 4 names, her 4. Sergeant Wyatt Brennan, Specialist Marin Whitlock, Corporal Hollis Grant, Lieutenant James Walsh. Meet the next generation. Morrison steps forward, places his hand on his father's name. His fingers trace the letters carved deep in stone. I will honor you, I promise. The others watch, quiet, respectful, understanding something about cost and sacrifice and the weight of legacy. I cannot promise I will bring you all back, Sienna says, speaking to the recruits now, to her team. But I promise I will die trying. They stand together. The 5 recruits raise their right hands, speak in unison, words Sienna taught them, words that become oath. We are ghosts. We exist in shadows. Our aim never misses. Our compassion never fails. Finn pulls a photograph from his pocket, places it at the base of the wall. Marin Whitlock in desert camouflage, smiling, young, alive in memory even if dead in fact. We carry them with us, he says. The 6 of them stand before the wall until darkness falls and stars emerge. 6 shadows against black granite. 6 futures built on 4 foundations. 6 operators bound by shared purpose and shared ghosts. The next morning, a C-130 waits on the runway. Engines warming, ready for departure. Team Phantom loads their gear. 6 duffel bags, 6 rifle cases. Equipment and ammunition and purpose packed into cargo netting. General Cross stands at the bottom of the ramp, waiting to see them off. Sienna approaches him last. The recruits are already aboard, strapped in, ready. Bring them home, Sienna, Cross says, using her first name for the first time. All of them. I will do my best, sir. I know you will. That is why I chose you. She salutes. He returns it. She turns toward the ramp. Captain, he calls. She stops, looks back. Thank you for coming back, for giving them a chance, for giving us a chance. She nods once, then boards the aircraft. Inside the cargo bay, the 5 recruits sit in jump seats. Morrison, Rowan, Callum, Iris, Finn. Her team, her responsibility, her future. They look at her with trust that is both burden and gift. She sits among them, not separate, not above, among. She reaches into her pocket, removes the silver bullet casing. The one engraved with Afghanistan 2016. The one she has carried for 9 years. The one that represents everything she lost and everything she learned. She holds it for a moment, then extends it toward Morrison. Your father's legacy, carry it forward. Morrison takes it carefully, holds it like the precious thing it is, looks at the coordinates engraved in the brass. Thank you, Captain. Make him proud. I will. The C-130's engines roar. The aircraft begins to taxi. Through the small windows, they can see the desert falling away, the facility shrinking, the memorial wall becoming invisible, but not forgotten, never forgotten. The plane climbs into morning sky, 6 silhouettes visible through cargo bay windows. Sienna sits in the center, the recruits around her. Team formation, unit cohesion, not alone anymore, not carrying weight solo, distributed load, shared burden, shared purpose. The aircraft levels off, cruising altitude, heading toward classified coordinates, toward a mission that will not make headlines, toward action that will not earn medals, toward work that happens in shadows because shadows are where ghosts live. Sienna closes her eyes, not sleeping, just resting, conserving energy for what comes next. The recruits are quiet, some nervous, some excited, all ready. She trained them. She shaped them. She gave them the tools they need to survive. Now they will see if tools become action, if training becomes performance, if potential becomes reality. Somewhere below, the desert stretches endlessly, beautiful and hostile and indifferent. Above, the sky is infinite, blue fading to black at the edges of atmosphere. Between Earth and heaven, 6 operators fly toward war. They do not exist on paper. Their names will not make headlines. Their actions will not be acknowledged. But when the impossible shot is needed, when one bullet must save 100 lives, when precision is the difference between mission success and catastrophe, they will be there. Silent, precise, compassionate, phantom. 6 shadows crossing the sky, 6 weapons aimed at the future, 6 hearts beating steady and slow, 6 minds calculating distance and wind and drop, 6 operators bound by training and trust and the ghosts that came before. Ghosts do not die. They do not fade. They do not disappear. They multiply. They pass their skills to the next generation. They become legacy. They become inspiration. They become the standard against which excellence is measured. Brennan's humor lives in Morrison's smile. Whitlock's intelligence lives in Iris's calculations. Grant's courage lives in Rowan's determination. Walsh's wisdom lives in all of them. In every lesson learned, in every shot taken, in every mission completed, in every name that does not end up on a wall. The C-130 disappears into clouds, becomes invisible, becomes rumor, becomes ghost. And Sienna Blackwood sits among her team, eyes closed, breathing steady, heart rate 59 beats per minute, the same as when she fires, the same as when she calculates, the same as when she carries the weight of 4 ghosts and 5 futures. Below, the Arizona desert fades into memory. The memorial wall with its 4 names. The firing range with its impossible distances. The life she tried to leave behind in the life she has chosen to live. Sienna opens her eyes, looks at the 5 faces around her. Morrison with his father's legacy in his pocket. Iris with her calculations and newfound courage. Finn with his balance finally found. Rowan with her humility earned. Callum with his ego transformed to teamwork. They are not replacements for what she lost. They are proof that loss can become purpose, that ghosts can become guides, that the weight of 4 names can be carried forward by 6 hearts. She closes her eyes again, heart rate 59, breathing steady. The mathematics of grief and redemption finally balanced. She is ready. They are ready. The mission is waiting. The target is designated. The mathematics are sound. Somewhere ahead, someone needs saving. Someone needs protecting. Someone needs the impossible shot made possible, and Team Phantom is coming, silent as shadows, precise as mathematics, compassionate as those who understand that every trigger pull carries weight, that every shot matters, that precision is not about killing, it is about protecting, about saving, about making sure fewer names are carved into black granite walls. The plane flies on, carrying ghosts into the future, carrying legacy into action, carrying memory into mission. And in the cargo bay, one woman who learned to aim carefully sits surrounded by 5 students who learn from the best. Welcome back, Viper 1. The future needs you, and you are ready.